Street Fighter 6 gameplay easier than ever with new dynamic controls. So these are, I'm assuming, I've seen very little of the dynamic controls, but I'm assuming the dynamic controls are for people who just want to press some buttons and do cool stuff in games, right? Dynamic controls are not going to be something that like ruins the game for people that know how to play the game. It's also not going to be something that you pick to play the game like easier for like higher skilled players, because even if you are good at the game and you pick dynamic controls, you lose a lot of functionality that you can do with your character. You lose a lot of things that you would normally be able to do if you had normal controls that you can't do anymore because you've been nerfed by only being able to do what they allow you to do with the controls, with how they're set, right? Because there's modern and there's dynamic. Let's see what he's talking about.
Hello everybody, Velociraptor here for Event Hubs, and Capcom just released some interesting new information on Street Fighter 6. Actually, there's two big things here. One, and probably most importantly, classic costumes for Ken, Ryu, and Chun-Li. But the other big thing is that they have just revealed a new control scheme called the Dynamic Controls.
So wait, was this not in addition? Was this not in the beta?
What is it? Modern controls, which are basically simplified controls, but with a smart word to put in there so that you don't feel like you're silly or dumb or new. You're modern. Fair enough. This is dynamic controls, and what it is you can push. I think there's 4 different buttons, and depending on your proximity to your opponent, when you push these buttons, your character will do a relatively appropriate attack or move.
So it's even more limiting.
You push one of the buttons
than modern controls.
Fireball if you're Ryu and you're a fireball character. But if you're up close and you push that same button, you might do.
So instead of having modern controls, which are simple, like the most simple input, instead of having three punches and 3 kicks, you have just a light, a medium, and a heavy attack. And depending on what you're doing, or it'll do something different. Because if you use light attack, if you go up and you do crouch and you mash light attack 2 times, you'll get crouch. I think you get crouch light kick and then crouch light punch. So it's kind of like a chain, but it only stops there. So you could do like light, and then press the special button to do a special, to confirm it's a special. And I assume that you should be able to do light, special, super, or whatever. But like that's it. Like you can't choose to do something different. You can't choose to approach in many different ways because you're kind of gimped. But for people that don't know how to do that on their own, or don't know how to hit confirm, or don't want to practice or do any of those type of things, and they just want to play the game and have fun playing the game, that's what these controls are made for. They're not going to give you some advantage. There are definitely going to be people out there who are good at the game who are going to go, I'm going to try to get to as high a rank as I possibly can using dynamic controls, or higher rank as I possibly can by using modern controls. And who knows, somebody may succeed in doing that, but it's not going to be the norm, right? It's not going to be the norm. Like if you want to really take advantage of your character and you want to really like do everything and learn everything that your character has to offer, you're not going to be using modern or dynamic control.
Do a heavy punch or something like that. And there's ones for, drive impact, parry, kicks, punches, specials. In the Game Informer video where they talk about this, Nakayama he's talking about how you'd watch people playing fighting games and they would be just mashing because they're not, like at a party or something, somebody throws on Street Fighter or whatever, and people just mash away. And you see the characters on the screen just kind of looking goofy most of the time. For me, I remember doing this with Street Fighter 4 one time when I had some buddies over from work, and they just both picked Zangief and were just basically doing lariat after lariat, and then the occasional green hand would come out. Remember when Zangief had a green hand? That's cool. If modern controls were for newcomers, this is for party players that are probably not expecting to play this game too much. I would hope that you wouldn't just use this mode to play the game outright. In fact, you wouldn't be able to do that because you can't take this online, and I'm almost certain this won't be allowed.
even if you could take the game, or if you could take dynamic controls online, it wouldn't get you that far. Like, you'd have to really try hard to get far. Like, if you're losing to someone using dynamic controls, then you're probably just not paying attention to what's going on. Like, after a certain point, dynamic controls and modern controls in Street Fighter are kind of like a detriment to you. Like, they're limiting in the early stages of the game, and early in, like, I think they have iron rank in this game, and in, like, maybe in bronze or whatever, where people don't know how to play or what they're doing really. You could probably get away with beating people pretty bad with modern controls or dynamic controls. But once you get to a certain, like, rank where people are actually doing all the things that they should be doing, they have all their combos down, they have all the things that they're optimized, their setups, they know, like, frame data, they know how to punish things, they know how to, anti-air properly, they know how to do all these things that they're supposed to know how to do. It's going to be a detriment to you to be playing on dynamic controls. So, like, they should just let people go online with online matches, hell, in ranked or whatever. Even if you can only use it in casual, let them use it in casual, right? If you could play with it in ranked, it wouldn't really change anything. You wouldn't be able to just go online and just tape down your button and then just beat people. Like I said, maybe in iron, people would lose to that, but you can't just do that and expect to win games. Like, you can't expect to win games up to what you gonna get up to diamond? You gonna get up to master, grandmaster? Just using dynamic controls where you're limited in what you can do. If you can, then you must already be a god at the game, because you have very limited things you can do. And you have to have probably immaculate footsies. And it looks like there's places where it jumps for you automatically, or there's a button that makes you jump forward. And, like, if that's the case, that's terrible. That's terrible. I don't know why anybody would think that using these two control types would be beneficial to anyone versus anyone who knows how to play the game, or knows what they're doing.
Allowed in tournaments, which
let people have their fun.
A good thing. But this is for people that are just wanting to mash buttons and have something manifest on screen that actually looks cool and intuitive, and like you're doing an actual combo. And when we watch the footage here, people are having fun, and it looks like the guys at Game Informer that are playing, they are laughing kind of at themselves, and that there's even one point where the commentators are saying, "Oh, that was so smart."
Wow, what a decision! So smart. Player 2.
I love the commentators being like, so smart.
You know how accurate that is? You know how accurate that is to real life? At tournaments, commentators will be like, "Hey, that was so smart. I can't believe that he did," like just different stuff like that. They say these things in real life. These actual commentators say these actual real things in real life at tournaments, and it's in the same context. Somebody will do something or just throw something out and it just works, and there will be like, "That was so smart." Like, this literally happens at tournaments all the time.
He has no idea about dynamic controls.
But it does seem to capture that party feel. And hey, when the stakes are low like that, I guess fair enough. If this can be like, oh, you look not like a pro when you're mashing buttons in dynamic mode, but you look like you kind of know what you're doing, and more importantly, the characters do stuff that you want to see them do on screen, so it feels good. And what does that equal? Like, maybe you're gonna stick around for an extra match or two that you wouldn't have otherwise. Maybe this is a pathway into actually playing the game, because somebody sits down and does this, but then they go, I actually think that that's cool, and I want to dig into that further. So I can see it being a good thing for that purpose. But as far as, and this is the place a lot of us in the FGC are going to go, the more competitively minded, like, this shouldn't be in tournaments. Of course it shouldn't be in tournaments. This is not.
I will play devil's advocate here, as I have been for simple controls and things like this. let people use it in tournament. Why not? It's literally a handicap to anybody who against anybody who knows what they're doing. It's literally a handicap. Why not let people use it in tournament? Like how bad is it really going to be when you're going up against somebody who knows what they're doing, knows how to anti-air, knows how to punish things, knows how to optimize combos so they're getting the biggest damage possible, when you're playing against somebody who's literally just doing a normal into a special, knocking people down, and then just, you know, trying to do whatever. They're just literally mashing. Or you have the person who is using it and knows how to play fighting games, and they're just trying to see how far they can get in a tournament with the dynamic mode. The competitively minded FGC people like myself and like many others, right? You shouldn't have a problem with these game mechanics, because they're not going to suddenly make people make top 8 who would have never made top 8. They're not going to make people get out of pools who would have never got out of pools in the first place. There's even less of a chance that I do well at a tournament using modern controls or using dynamic controls. But hey, somebody who's brand new to the FGC or brand new to tournaments, you know, younger kids maybe who want to like enter in, you know, they're not really that great at doing the inputs and stuff like that. Maybe they just want to enter the tournament. They're probably gonna go 0-2 anyway. Let them enter the tournament with dynamic controls. Like, who cares? There's like, the dynamic controls are so limiting that it's not even a good idea to use them in a tournament if you're actually trying to win.
This is not really playing the game. This is mostly letting the game play itself for you. And
still false. You are still playing the game, because even though you're mashing, your goal is to win, right? So then you're gonna try to do stuff. You're gonna try to press the buttons in a way that will make you win the game, even if it's not fully using all the mechanics correctly. You're still going to do things, or you're going to try to press the buttons in a way. Like when you were mashing as a kid in like Marvel 2, like if I was playing my friends in Marvel 2, we weren't really playing the game. We were just mashing buttons, which is what this is. But at the same time, we're still trying to beat the other person. We're still sitting down, playing a bunch of matches together, and we're trying to win more than the other player, like more than the other person that we're playing against. So how is that any different from using dynamic controls? It's still playing the game. It's using less of your ability to play the game. It's using less of inputs and less I guess less thought to put into the game. But you're still playing the game. You're still pressing with the buttons with the intention to win. Like, you don't get in there and you're just like, whatever. Like, you're pressing buttons with the intention to win. Like, you want to win. And then if you're playing, both you and somebody else are using dynamic controls or whatever, and you guys are just going at it and you're pressing buttons, those people that are using the dynamic controls at a party or whenever they're doing whatever they're doing with the dynamic controls, I guarantee you that if they're having fun, whoever wins is going to still have that same feeling that they want to like pop off. Oh yeah, I beat you, blah, blah. Like you know what I mean? Like the hype moments in fighting games when you finally beat somebody that you've been trying to beat. Like, it's still gonna be that. That's still there, but it's there for people at a lower level. Even when they were mashing, it would be the same thing. When you beat your friends and it was like everybody was around, y'all didn't know how to play the game. But when somebody won, there were still pop-offs. Now, when in the FGC with more competitive-minded players and more people that are like studying the game and what we are now, it's like you have those pop-offs still because you're playing against somebody who is of the same like mindset of you or the same skill level or around the same skill level as you. And when you beat that person, you feel that. But when you beat someone who is of a much lesser skill level than you, you don't have that same like rush of dopamine, I guess, when you beat them, because you already know that you're so much better than them. And it's like, oh, you know, we're having fun playing the game, but you might just run them over. When you just run somebody over and there's no challenge, of course, But on that same token, if they beat you for whatever reason, if they beat you, they're going to have a huge rush because they know they're not supposed to be able to beat you, right? So if they can bring themselves up a little bit using dynamic controls to be able to do something. To be honest, if you lose to someone who is not good enough to use the regular controls, or if you lose to somebody who's not good enough to use the regular controls and they use dynamic because they don't know how to use the regular controls, you probably either let them win or you deserve to lose. I can't really put it any other way. It's like there's going to be, I think people are scared of losing to scrubs online, right? It's like, because this is what happened to me with Street Fighter 5, where I got stuck in silver for a long period of time. I got stuck in silver, between silver and ultra silver, or between silver and gold, right? I got stuck between there, and there were times where I got low and I dropped all the way back down to like ultra bronze, right? I didn't feel like I belonged in silver. Like I was like, this don't make no sense. I don't get what's going on here. When Akira came out, I pushed all the way past. I got to ultra gold before I really stopped playing the game, but I was like, I really didn't enjoy Street Fighter 5 that much. I just wanted to continue to play the game because I wanted to prove to myself that I didn't belong in silver, right? So once I got the ultra gold, and I was basically, once Akira came out, I sprinted from like ultra silver to ultra gold, whereas I'd never ever been to ultra gold before. But people are just scared to lose to people online, and if people online in silver were beating me and I had trouble getting to gold, if there's somebody else out there like that, they might be like, oh, well, if you give them the ability to be able to do the moves and to not have to use the inputs, now they're going to be harder to beat. And now I'm going to get beat more by those people who weren't supposed to be able to beat me. And I think that's what people are scared of in the competitive FGC. When I hear people talk like this, it bothers me because I don't think like that anymore. I'm like, if I lost, I deserved to lose because I did something wrong and I need to fix it. I think people just need to stop being so scared of simple controls in competitive games, because there are tons of games that already have simple controls, like Tekken. Tekken has simple controls. Most of the buttons in Tekken, or most of the strings in Tekken, are all buttons. They're all buttons. Whereas like you're just holding a direction and pressing a button, holding a direction, pressing a button, dashing forward, pressing some more buttons with a direction in there somewhere. There's some characters that have things that are, a little execution heavy, like, electrics and stuff. That stuff's there for people that want to learn that stuff. Korean backdashing is not a mechanic in the game. It is a thing that is a byproduct of how the system works that they allowed to stay in the game, and people use that because it's good to move away from people. Backdash canceling, right? So Tekken has simple controls already. There's Soul Calibur has simple controls. What other game, like Smash has simple controls, but none of these games are simple to play and simple for people to win against people who know what they're doing. It's never going to be simple to beat someone who's better than you, no matter what game you're playing. You could be playing Fantasy Strike. If somebody is better than you at Fantasy Strike and has better fundamentals than you in Fantasy Strike, they will just beat you. It doesn't matter that you can't duck in that game. It doesn't matter that everything is super simple to do. It doesn't matter that you have 6 hit points or 8 hit points or whatever. It doesn't matter, because if you're better, you're just going to win. Like there's no in between. Like you may lose some matches because somebody's a little close in skill to you, or they are learning and they're understanding what to do, and they're learning the meta game, or they're learning like the mind games, or understanding what you're doing to them, and they're trying to adapt to what you're doing, and you may lose a match. But if you're just much better, you're just going to win. Like that's it. If you're on equal skill levels, you'll win a bunch sometimes. Maybe the other person will win a bunch sometimes. You'll go back and forth. Like it's about how you decide to play the game and how you make decisions when you're playing fighting games that really matter. It doesn't matter about the mechanics. If it's a universal mechanic, it's not going to make or break like whether you're a good player or not. If you're a good player, you're just a good player. You carry over a lot of the stuff you do in other games to newer games. You're not going to forget how to play Street Fighter. You're going to just apply all the new mechanics to everything you've been doing, and you kind of drop off the other mechanics. But the basis of playing Street Fighter, like the base understanding of playing Street Fighter, is the same throughout all Street Fighter games. You just have to learn different mechanics.
You are like a 30% or whatever contributor to what's going on the screen. This is definitely the epitome of having a game have training wheels. But I don't, as far as I can tell, I don't think that it's a terrible thing. I think that it's fairly innocuous. I know words, I'm a writer. It doesn't look like it's going to threaten the validity of Street Fighter 6. And when I read this for the first time, before I watched the video, it's just like, it's a dynamic control. It's a new control that's even more simple. And we were talking about it in the Event Hubs chats and going like, okay, so it does this. And my heart kind of dropped for a minute there.
For what?
This game has looked so good so far in terms of doing everything correctly to appeal to both the casual and the competitive audience, those that want to just engage with the game a little bit versus those that really want to dig in and figure out everything that there is to know about it and get their execution down and all of that. And this all of a sudden sounded like, and we're also throwing in training wheels that have traditionally not been all that helpful for fighting games. Now, that's a little bit murky there because there have been good things, and I think Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, for example, and Dragon Ball FighterZ is probably a better example. You have things like the dial-in combos that you can do, and that's full on in the game. You can do that in tournament. You
dial-in combos, right? So full dial-in combos, right? Mortal Kombat has this. Mortal Kombat, you can dial the you can dial the strings where you hit all the buttons in the string and like they pretty much just come out, right? Mortal Kombat has this. No one said anything about that. No one said anything about how that works in Mortal Kombat. Chain combos exist. That is what it is. It's chain combos. They exist. Those are where if you had links, like you had link combos, like in Street Fighter, right? In Street Fighter 2, you have combos that link together. There weren't like chains. You link buttons into other buttons, which in the beginning of combos was a glitch. It was a glitch that allowed people to do combos where they weren't supposed to exist. So it was a bug. It wasn't supposed to be there. But I guess people found so much fun with it that they added them to the game. And then over time, they made them easier and easier to do because they were part of fighting games. This is just an evolution of being able to do combos easier. But with the control scheme, if you have the regular control scheme, you can do everything. If you have the simple control scheme, you can do much less in the game than with the regular control.
You can do that online, whatever, but they have natural, obvious drawbacks to them because they'll, do less damage, or there are more optimal combos that you would want to learn. This is kind of like that on steroids in a sense because it's not even necessarily just doing combos. I think you can get combos out of it. I saw it in the video, but this is like making decisions for you. Like you're close up and you do drive impact. And I don't know to what level you're doing those, the game is making those decisions for you, because I don't know if it's looking at like, oh, they have low drive meter and they haven't driven.
No, I don't think that's what it is doing at all.
2 times we did it, so now we can do it. It's probably not that level. It's probably just proximity, and then it randomly picks one of the attacks that would make general sense from that proximity for your character. But maybe it's it'd be funny if they program this whole like AI like nuanced thing in there where it has like a brain and it's like, oh, you play optimally, and all of a sudden it looks like a TAS video or something like that when people are playing Street
Yeah, no.
I don't think it's that at all.
No.
Sure, maybe it's
like that wouldn't even
but
pop
I
up
am
in my
interested
head.
in what you guys think because, the way that the community can react to things, and even if it's not a huge deal, if there's enough of a negative reaction, it can affect the way people view a game. And this game, like I said, has seemingly dotted every I, crossed every T. It's even gotten the lowercase j's, and I would hate to see it all of a sudden just pull out this thing that's, oh, and by the way, we have ridiculous training wheels that nullify learning the rest of the game and make it just a very
That would never be a thing.
experience where you can have flashy, cool things appear on the screen and anybody can win at any time.
No, anybody can't win at any
You
time.
definitely don't want that. But again, I don't think that's what this is at all. I really trust Nakayama and
That would never.
what
That's
he's
never
done.
going to be a
And
thing.
Matsumoto, too.
Making
I
something
think
simple
they're
doesn't make it that way.
what they've
Ever.
done with this game and this franchise.
Never in any game has it ever been
a
that
lot
way.
of what they're
Ever.
doing at the end of Street Fighter V, minus Luke, has been very like in tune with what needs to happen. They've modernized a lot of their approaches, where Capcom has been a little conservative and stuck in the past in some.
There has never been a fighting game ever. Correct me if I'm wrong. There's literally never been a fighting game ever where someone who's not good at the game would beat somebody who's really, really good at the game. Like it's never going to be that. It's never going to be that. Like it can't be that. There are people that take a lot of time and effort to get good at the game, play a lot of the game, have a lot of experience. There's no one who is really good at the game who's going to lose to someone new coming in or a low-level player because the low-level player is using the training wheels mode of the controls. Literally not. You're literally gimped, limited in what you can do, and you're playing against someone who is optimized or has optimized things, bigger damage combos, better movement, better decision making, and all that. Like you'll never pick up a training wheels control scheme and beat someone who is actually good at the game. Literally never. Like it would have to be to the extent that it breaks the game in order for the new player to beat. I mean, literally breaks the game. Like when you're using the training wheels thing, you can cancel stuff that you would not ever be able to cancel. Like you would be able to swing and do special attacks and block in the middle of the animation. That type of thing. That's what you would need to give to someone who can, like, and it auto breaks throws, right? You'll never have to take a throw because it will auto break throws in the middle of whatever you were getting ready to do. Even if you were getting ready to do a drive impact, right? You're getting ready to do a drive impact, and then you could just in the game would auto break the throw for you if somebody tried to throw you. If somebody drive impacts and you're within proximity of the drive impact to get hit, it auto drive impacts for you to in response. Like while you're in the middle of doing, like it would have to literally break the game for someone new to come along and beat somebody who's good.
I have faith in them. So I see this and I go, oh, there's a lot of potholes that could come with that, but
No, there isn't.
They're implementing it appropriately.
It's a lot of
Just-
the potholes are people complaining about things that don't need to be complained about. Because if you call yourself a competitive fighting game player, you should be thinking about, how do I use this strong thing to win more games? How do I counter this strong thing so that I lose less to it? Figure out how to solve the problem. Some stuff is definitely going to be annoying. Don't get me wrong. Some stuff is going to be annoying. It's going to get on your nerves. You're allowed to be annoyed. But while you're being annoyed, take a step back and be like, all right, how do I stop this from being annoying? How do I make this less annoying? How do I make it more annoying for the other player?
Just appeal to this one audience that, hey, if this causes, even just one person to go from, hey, I was just seeing Street Fighter at a party and now I'm a Street Fighter player because this mode, gave me the in, then that's great. And it looks like it could do that. But I would like to hear what you guys think about it. Do you think this is a good idea? Will you be using dynamic mode at all? Do you think it's a terrible idea? Does it have any problems? Will it mess up the game at all? Let us know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching.
It will not mess up the game, but there will be people who whine and cry about drive impact. There will be people who whine and cry about modern controls. There will be people who have these knee-jerk reactions about the mechanics in the game before they even have a chance to really see what it's about online versus people.